4 more than 5, because I know you're out there. But not all, hopefully not all at the same time, but I know you're there too. So you know that the parts cross over. They go from trailer to trailer. You'll see the same windows on more than one trailer. You'll see the same running lights on more than one trailer. Definitely the same door locks on more than one trailer, more than one brand of trailer. And so there's a whole world that we have to learn, that we're learning, and we've learned a lot of it, but we've got a lot more to go. We get calls every day, people saying, is there a manual for this? You know, like, where's the book, right? Some of you have asked for that, some of you may have written the book and just didn't tell us, but there's no book. There's no manual. There may be an owner's manual if you're lucky in the 60s and maybe earlier than that, but mostly there's not even that sometimes. You know, can you please send me over the 1953 King wiring diagram? You know, I can almost picture what that is, you know, but I can't really help you too much with that. But we can obviously help in other ways. So the point is that we're all growing up here together. There's an adolescence that we're feeling right now, I think. I think of it a lot that way. That we like to compare us sometimes to the classic car world. I think the classic car people have crossed over a little bit now into our world a little bit. How many people were interested in classic cars, tinkered with them, owned one before a trailer? Wow. That's a lot, right? That's a big deal. That didn't used to be the case. There wasn't that crossover.
We bought our first trailer, a Spartan, only because it was the same year as our 48 Cayenne.
Oh, yeah.
It was going to be an accessory for the car.
Did you color match it too?
No, it didn't have to. It was polished, but there you go.
Right, exactly.
Holstered too.
Yeah, there you go. You know, I mean, this is the new thing too, of course, and it's fueled the can ham side of things is the classic car. It's also brought in some really good technical skills into this industry, hobby, lifestyle, whatever we want to call it. It's brought in a new skill set also, which has been exciting. You know, the carpenter folks, those who are just really handy with their hands, they've always been in it. And now we've got, car guys too and gals. And so there's really there's new life in that sense, and it's brought in a whole new interest. So I use the term adolescence because I really think that's true in some ways, maybe even pre-adolescence. I don't know. And that's what we want to talk about a little tonight, is kind of where this thing has gone so far and maybe where it might go. As we've gone through this, we've gone through a lot of growing pains. Some of you have experienced this. How many people have ever ordered anything from us, ever? Okay, more than half. That's great. Thank you. Thank you very much is what I mean to say. Depending on how long you've been doing that, you've certainly run into snags with us. It's often out of stock. It's sometimes sent you the wrong thing. I hope not too often. But we aren't perfect. We're really working on it, and part of that has been that we have a hard time keeping up with some of this growth, and that we are perpetually understaffed and trying to work towards that. So we recognize that we have a long way to go, but we are dedicated fundamentally to some really important principles. One is to be truly part of the community. Lifetime member of Tin Can Tourist, always a member of any club I can be part of, but more importantly, I do go camping, have trailers, do that stuff. Unfortunately, being up in Vermont, I don't truck across the country that often. Recently, in the last year, I've stashed a trailer in San Diego so that I can get out there and do some events, which is kind of a nice luxury. But sometimes I don't get out as much as I would like. That's one of the big pieces, is truly being part of the community. Quality and authenticity is a big part of this too. It's the idea of restoring a trailer is really a misnomer. We don't really restore trailers too much in our lifestyle here. We tend to refurbish them. Sometimes we just fix them up a little and get out there and go camping. Sometimes we do full custom, beautiful refurb and custom tear down, build back up. But rarely is it truly a restoration. And one of the big reasons for that is you can't. And you can't for a couple reasons. One is because lifestyles have changed a lot. We're not driving 45 miles an hour over the roads anymore. Most of us can't dump our gray water anywhere we want anymore. Most of us prefer a slightly more comfortable mattress and probably a little bigger than in the old days. You know, so the list goes on about reasons you can't from a lifestyle perspective, but you also can't because you can't get the damn parts. Okay, it's just they're just not out there. And so, although we produced, you know, we have 1,000 parts plus in our inventory, we have tons of reproductions that are pretty faithful in most cases. We got a long way to go, right? If we're going to really get serious about restoring trailers in our lifestyle, we've got a long way to go, and we recognize that. So that's a big piece of ours, is that doing it right, doing it high quality, doing it faithfully, standing behind it, those are all good things, and not just because, you know, it's good business, but because we think that it is essential as we see this whole thing evolve and mature. There'll always be, you know, there'll always be a need for custom. There'll always be people going out to the aircraft industry to find something, or to the marine industry to find something, or just down to the local hardware store to get something. Those things are all part of our trailer projects. But there is also a need for those specialized things, and that's what we work on. So those are sort of the core tenets. And then the last thing is the human service piece of this. I just want to make that clear to you. We stand behind what we do, and we don't take that lightly. We're really very, very serious that we want you to really care about, we want you to believe in us, and we want you to love us, frankly. And so what that means is we want, when you have a problem, if you don't like the way the part is performing, since I've been out here on my email, I've had 2 of my kind of semi-pro customers email me and give me shit, give me crap, give me some grief over some parts, right, that we've sold, that we make. And you know, I love those relationships, frankly. I love to hear it like it is. I want to know when we sell you something and then you find out that you could have gotten it a lot cheaper somewhere else, or that it didn't perform and it broke down in 6 months. We want to know that. That's why we put product reviews right up on the website and let you just do whatever you want with those, because we want you to put it out there honestly for everyone. Because that's obviously what, I mean, frankly, that's how business is today, right? Anybody here who does anything, sells anything, or works in the social media world or anything else knows that that's how you do it. But it's because we're part of the community, it's especially important. And that all kind of ties into kind of what I wanted to show you next, which is, these, by the way, are pictures. I think you've been going through a couple of these while I've been talking. You can't see these, I'm sorry. You might want to move forward. This is more interesting visually. Last month, was it?
August.
In August, we did a show in Montpelier, Vermont. We did kind of like Kirk does in his town, or a town. I don't know if it's your town, but is it your town?
Close by.
Yeah, by your town. Not quite the same. We didn't camp overnight on the streets, but we did close down the whole downtown village of Montpelier, Vermont, which is the state capital, and we parked 35 trailers out. And people put them up there for a show. Well, we were very surprised because we had 4,000 to 5,000 visitors come through those trailers on a Saturday. We did a survey afterwards asking the people who participated by showing, what did you think? A lot of people were like, that was just too much. We're not doing that again. Like, it was like, you know, we all love to show off our trailers until it gets to be out of hand. One person came back and said that somebody was having lunch in their trailer when they came back. Sitting at the diner, and they're like, somebody told me, and I don't believe it's true, someone used their bathroom. I don't think that's true.
We've had that happen.
Yeah, okay. You want an open house day? Okay, you know, like if they only knew how fragile our plumbing was, right? Like, they look good on the outside, but we never really used to toilet. But what was cool about this event was Forrest was great. When he, you know, we worked with, you know, put the Tin Can Tourist name on there. We really talked about the fact that, you know, this is a Tin Can Tourist, you know, endorsed event. And we had some great participants, including Killer Bob, who was great, and came and won Best of Show, of course.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Bob Kopak from Maine, he just stole the show for it. You know.
On the right there.
Oh, there he's on the right there. Maybe some of you have run into him through the years. He has a Yellowstone, 50s Yellowstone. This is just a really pretty trailer. Killer Bob from Florida and Maine. And so, you know, so this is something we did, but and he's just showing pictures as we talk about the kind of events. We don't do a lot of events, but when we do them, we have a lot of fun. Okay, so let's move on. Being in the place we are in the business, having the only probably paid phone bank in the vintage trailer world, where we have, you know, 4 people on the phones almost all the time, we really talk to a lot of people. And we really have that sort of like standing up on the water tower looking down over the town kind of thing. We really have that benefit, and we get a ton of calls. And one of the things that we determined is that we can really kind of break you all into groups. You know, not that we channel like, you know, we know your phone number is going this direction or anything, but we do know enough about you to kind of, you know, we talk about kind of the types of folks who are involved in this. Am I skipping out of order?
Let's hear the names of
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah. I think they're lost.
73431.
Oh, yeah, let me look up that phone number.
That area code don't have.
You're in order,
Let me
Steve.
sugar.
I don't think I have that. I don't even think I have that sheet. Anyway, I kind of know.
You're in order.
So the basic idea is that you know, we're really, really important to some people. The people who just bought their first trailer and don't go on the internet.
Oh,
man.
Right, like those people are really they're kind of screwed, right? Like, you know, so that's a really bigger group. It's a bigger group than you think. How many of you don't actively use the internet for anything, or email and all that? There's a few of you. There's still a few people around.
Carry a cell phone.
No cell phone. That's actually cool. We're all jealous of that one. But there's a lot of people, and you know, maybe they just got the trailer given to them or whatever it is, but for some reason they have a trailer, and they really need help. So we're the 1-800 help me. I just got a trailer. I have no idea what I'm doing. And it's great. We love it, of course, because now we have a relationship. But also, it's clear people need some resources and way beyond what we can offer. But that's a really important thing. So then they'll call us back and they'll call Zach and say, okay, I realize now I need to redo my plumbing. How do I do that? Right? And that's the next call, and Zach gets all of those calls every time.
I love it.
It's like, oh, Zach, plumbing. You know, and so that's his job. Is that right?
That's right. That's exactly right. I love it.
You know, so trying to explain how dump valves work and how a gray system isn't existing and it will someday, and you know, all that kind of stuff. And a pressurized water system versus a hand pump versus you know, all that stuff. So that's kind of and then we also have the folks who are clearly tapped into all the internet stuff. Most of you are into that, and thank goodness, right? Because without our extended online community, when we started, there wasn't really much of one, and you really it's vital. And those folks are in much better shape. Some of those folks have great skills and lots of time. And we're going to talk to them a lot, probably, to get them what they need. But mostly they're off on their own doing their own thing. There's the people with no time or no skills. And they are either going to drop out of it after a while, or they're going to pay somebody to do a lot of it. And then that's that next group, which is the kind of the, you know, they buy them, fix them up, sell them eventually. Their idea is not to put, you know, $30,000 worth of labor into it, but just put some time into it, get it right, and move it on. Those people, we talk to those people all day long. For years and years and years, those relationships exist. And then we have the people who they're doing it for money. Like maybe not full-time money, but they're doing it for money. Anybody here want to admit that's who you are? You're actually making some money out of this. 1, 2, a few, 3. I know at least 5 of you. I can see you right now. You're just not admitting it. So there are quite a few of you doing that. It's not a lot of money. It's not paying the bills, right? It's just something that you do because it's kind of fun, and it lets you indulge your hobby and justify it to your spouse. It's that kind of a thing, and that's good. And then there are the folks who really beyond that are, you know, more serious. We've got people who have small shops, single person, can pay their own bills with it, and then we got the big ones, right? And some of those people are making decent money, but really are hiring a lot of people to do a lot of work. So those are kind of our customers, and we don't see those people at the very kind of that end. We don't talk to them as much typically. When we do, we're working in collaboration on developing a new product or something, but often they're off, you know, in their machine shop making whatever they need, you know, and they don't need us the same way. So those are kind of some of the folks we deal with, and where are we at on the slide?
We're talking about lifestyle and how our vantage point of lifestyle is going to take us forward and seeing progress on it.
Well, I want to move on to kind of like what we're seeing. So by seeing all this stuff, what we're realizing is that there's some crazy new stuff happening, like reality TV shows. How many people have been cast here for there's some people have been cast in these reality shows, but let's go through some of these. Are we onto the slides where we did?
Yeah.
Go to the next one. Whatever it is, I'll be able to figure out. Oh, okay, this is us. This is us. This is our growth, okay? I cleansed it of numbers, so I wouldn't tell you much here. But basically, 2007's on the left, 2014's on the right, and 2015's not on here, but it's going to go up again.
And sales.
This is sales. So, you know, there's no secret. We get to see what's going on. And we know that this is mostly averages of, you know, about $100 a sale, something like that, right? And that they're not big sales, they're not small sales, they're just sales. And the point is that there's a lot of people doing this, and there's more every year. And it's not slowing down. And we haven't hit a peak. That's what we see. It just keeps on going. And if we went back earlier, I don't have good numbers going too far back beyond that, but it's the same story. I don't know that we're going to see this sort of huge sweep up. I think we're going to see it kind of more of a straight line, but you get that idea. You can see recession years at the beginning didn't go down. There's some saying in the classic car world that it's actually counter to the economy, because when things go bad, you go to your backyard and work on your project. And so I think there's a little bit of that here too. So this business just keeps on going. What's the next one? I want to show you some. I want to give you some concrete examples, some numbers. This is a select set. I have a friend out in Ojai, California, named Jim Polk. He's a certified appraiser. He's like a senior level appraiser, a real appraiser. He'll do an appraisal on your trailer for you if you want. You can pay him to do that. He focuses primarily. He used to only appraise Corvettes, and then he did for a while only airplanes or something. But he does vehicles, and he appraises. He does airstreams right now. That's what he's focusing on. Just appraising airstreams. That's his business. And he does it all over California, and he doesn't mail order all over the country. He did mine. I want to show you, he's put together some numbers to show kind of the way the values have gone on vintage Airstreams. We don't have numbers broader than that for other trailers, but I think we can at least learn something from this. So I want to show you. This is going from January of 2006 to January of 2012, and these are historical values on some of the smaller Airstreams, the 1948 to 57, which is post-war to the early body style, the 50s style. And these trailers, you know, have basically doubled in value in those 6 years. That probably isn't a surprise to anyone, right? You might have even thought even more than double. But this is real hard numbers of what he tracks sales. Any public number he can get, any private number he can get, he gets it into his database. So he's seeing these things going from around 20,000 to about 42,000. This data is old. This ends in January 2012. Okay? And these are the smaller Airstreams, the more valuable ones. You all know this already probably, at least in the Airstream world. And not true in the Can-Am world so much, but I know, yeah, it is. Smaller is more expensive. It often is. That's not always true. There's a sweet spot that goes up into the 20s. And then when you start getting beyond the low 20s, it starts to get hard. It gets harder because you get a smaller audience to buy the thing. So, not to say they're not better. They are, but the bigger ones are cool. I love them. But they're not for everyone. Okay, this is now going into the 1960s. This is the 1960s styles of Airstream, the next generation of body style. Same thing, lower values in this case. Going from around 15 to about 30, something like that over that period. So we get it doubling, but just at a little bit lower rate. The 50s being more popular than the 60s. That was a total surprise to me, frankly. I think of this very much demographically, where we look at whose nostalgia are we tapping into, right? That's why I think the 80s are next, right? Because it's, and here's 1970s style Airstreams, yet another generation, another body style. Here we see some weird numbers, and that could be recession right there, that drop. Don't read too much into it. I think that, you know, these sample sets aren't so big that they're going to be evened out. But the same idea, going from about 10 to 15, something like that. So now we're into the 70s. We're seeing prices rising a little bit slower, not lower over that period. Now, there's been a lot of time between then and now, and I really think 70s have picked up in that time. I really think 70s trailers of the last 5 years, I'm not going to say it's where it's at, but it's almost where it's at. 70s trailers right there. You can look at the explosion in the bowlers, in the fiberglass, very popular right now. The fiberglass trailers, the egg shapes, the casitas, bowlers, all the burros, all those guys, really accelerating quickly, the values on those things. And so that's a 70s phenomenon. I mean, it goes long beyond that, but it's a 70s phenomenon. So that's what we're seeing. Here, this is just, Jim put this together too, which is kind of like why he thinks the market will continue 2010 to 2016. You know, labor rates. You know, if you want to do these things, if you want to do your own or whatever, you know, it just costs more to put these things together than it used to. So that itself just drives value, because to go out and get one, it is going to cost you more to get that same work done. Material costs, new design, original interior, and then new trailer prices, and then that last one, celebrity influence, cultural factor, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So I just wanted to give you some hard numbers. In addition to like obvious that we can demonstrate growth of this whole thing, so can the actual appraisers do the same thing in terms of the value. Go ahead.
I think we'll come to our first quiz here.
Oh, quiz? We got a quiz? Oh, anyone know what year these were built?
2015.
Okay, we're gonna do a little. Anybody want to raise their hand? Wait a minute. You just get a hat because you already have a vintage Oasis shirt on.
It's pink.
If you don't like pink, I have orange. I don't need to consider. Okay. Anybody know what year those trailers were built?
59.
Nobody listens. There's a hand up that isn't. Yes. Which color do you like?
I like orange, Bob.
Okay.
So you guess?
So anybody been inside one of these?
Yeah, they had it.
Okay. Anybody own one?
No way.
Wait, say that again? Keep going, give it out, give it out.
Hell no.
Okay, there's one person in this room that owns one. You know who that is?
You.
Why?
Why?
Because it's a limited edition.
No. So we worked a little bit with Shasta on this to try to get some things right. You can't get modern RV Elkhart quality manufactured right. You can't get that right in terms of quality control. They did do a lot of things right, and I think you all probably could recognize that. If you've seen the retros come and go through the years, the last 5 years, the RV companies have tried these retros, total, right? They just look horrible. To those of us snobs in the vintage world, you know, and I've had 70s, I own 40s and 50s right now, like I get it, right? But to those of us who are snobs, we're not going to like these things at all. But if you really look at the faithfulness of this thing and then excuse the poor workmanship for a moment, all right, there is, they really tried. And the reason they really tried is because they know how hot this is, right? They know how big this deal is. They made 1,941 of them. There's some talk that maybe they didn't release them all because they needed to keep a few back for warranty replacements. There are issues. I've camped in them quite a bit now over the last few months to learn what is. One of the things I'm doing is I'm using it as a laboratory to figure out what I can sell these people. So we're actually looking at things they need. But the point is that they did a really faithful job in a lot of ways. I also learned something. I have never owned a new RV. How many people here have owned a newer RV in their lives? A lot of people have. They've come out of it. Okay. So you know a little bit more about modern convenience. I didn't really understand this whole modern convenience thing. I didn't understand how awesome it is that when you hit the water heater switch, you have hot water. Like, that's cool, right? Like, I never really realized that, how great that was. So, like, I've learned a lot about some of this stuff, about the real value of it. The beds are really uncomfortable. The mattresses are, like, thinner than any of ours ever were. The
Aren't
kings,
you too tall for the bed in the back?
I am for almost everything. Oh, that bed? No, the bed in the back? No.
The Shasta, I thought it was very
Yeah,
tall.
but I have the 19-footer, which has extra sleeping in it, so it's a little better. But overall, I gotta say, I'm not disappointed in this product, and the reason is because I didn't expect a lot, and so by not expecting it to be a 1961 Shasta Airflight that had been hand restored, like I didn't expect that, right? I expected it to be what it is. They did some cool things you might have heard, like putting in the windows actually fit in the openings of your Shasta 61 Airflights. So the front, the parallelogram window. I don't think you have another picture of that? You already did it, right? Can you go back?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you know on the Shastas they have this window here that leaks.